Big time fight in our co-main event. We have a great one at bantamweight. Two very highly ranked fighters. The Sandman, Cory Sandhagen, representing Colorado, taking on the answer, Frankie Edgar. Matt, Frankie Edgar has so many all-time UFC records. He's up there in the top 10s. I'm going to give you a few of them right off the bat. He has the third most decision wins in UFC history at 11. He's tied for 8th in bonuses at 11. He has the third most total strikes landed in the UFC. Number 1, Max Holloway. Number 3, Frankie Edgar with 2,339. But the biggest number on Frankie Edgar's record is his total fight time. 7 hours, 40 minutes, and 51 seconds. And if you look at his average fight time, Frankie Edgar fights more than the 15 minutes. It's somewhere in the 17 minutes and 4 seconds.
Whack.
It's amazing the career this guy's put together. I can't overstate it, I don't think. Former lightweight champ. He's fighting at bantamweight now. He was undersized at lightweight. He was almost undersized at featherweight.
He was.
And now he's here at bantamweight. And listen, I know the record in the last 5 is somewhat salty. He's 2-3. Lost to Brian Ortega. Beat Cub Swanson. Lost to Holloway. Lost to the Korean Zombie. Beat Pedro Munoz by split decision. Listen, I had Pedro to win it, but it was a close fight. It really was. So you can make an argument either way. But what I did learn from Frankie Edgar in his bantamweight debut in that fight, he looked pretty good.
He did. And again, whether you think he won or lost to Pedro Munoz, he fought in a way that says, oh, wow, that was a Frankie Edgar fight. Did he get tired at all in that fight? No. Did he keep an insanely high output throughout that fight? Yeah. And did he get hit by shots that would knock out a horse, but for some reason don't seem to affect Frankie Edgar? All 3 of those things happened.
Oh, yeah.
You're in for a Frankie Edgar fight. And the Pedro Munoz fight was interesting, too, because Edgar ate so many of those calf kicks and so many leg kicks, and they definitely were starting to affect him near the end of that fight. But that tells you really all you need to know about Frankie Edgar. He ate 40 calf kicks from Pedro Munoz and was still a fresh fighter in minute 20 to 25 of their fight. He brings in some of the best cardio the UFC has ever seen, and again, a guy fighting 17-minute fights is like that one-year Wilt Chamberlain averaged 48.2 minutes a game. It's because he just played every minute of every game, and a couple of games went to overtime. That's really what Frankie Edgar's been doing. And when I think of main event 5-round fighters, I always think of Frankie Edgar because he's a perfect name to just throw into, listen, we need a fight night main event. Who can Frankie Edgar fight? And it's always going to be an entertaining fight. You're always going to get something good from it. And Frankie Edgar is always near the top of the division. Something big is going to happen for the winner. This is a strange fight. And again, this fight, when I think about it less of Cory Sandhagen fighting Frankie Edgar, and I just think, okay, who's been able to beat Frankie Edgar in the past? Well, tall, rangy strikers do seem to give him trouble. But then I ask myself, okay, well, what adversity has Cory Sandhagen faced? He does get taken down. Now, here's the good thing. He's a good enough grappler that he can create scrambles, and he can create enough space to at least make his way back up to the feet. We saw Aljamain Sterling take him down, control him, and it's nothing against the grappling Cory Sandhagen by any means. He's a good grappler, and he's a great MMA grappler. If you grapple Aljamain Sterling, you're probably going to end up tapping, and that's how the fight's going to end. But Frankie Edgar can employ a very similar game plan to Aljamain Sterling. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to go out there, take down Cory Sandhagen, and take his back in 90 seconds and choke him out, because that'd be a ridiculous prediction to make. But I think that wrestling of Frankie Edgar can definitely take Cory Sandhagen down. The question I keep on coming back to is, how long does it take for Cory Sandhagen to get back up to his feet? Because this is only a 3-round fight, and for Frankie Edgar, he's used to fighting 25 minutes. We're going to see an absurd output from him anyways, because you're normally doing a 25-minute fight, but he now has 10 less minutes to fight with, and he's probably going to keep a very similar output. So if Cory Sandhagen can't do anything early on to at least hurt Frankie Edgar, I don't know how you can make Cory Sandhagen a minus 415 favorite. Could he go out there and knock him out in 10 seconds? Of course he could. Brian Ortega knocked out Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar gets wobble. I just have a very hard time saying that Cory Sandhagen should be a 4-1 favorite over Frankie Edgar.
The wildest thing, and again, people talk about this in the comments section every now and again, so let's talk about it. When you see the odds, I match those up with Tapology predictions. Why? Because these are the hardest of the hardcore MMA fans that take time out of their day to post a prediction. Now, are they all right? No. A lot of the time they are, but they're not always right. But it's a good litmus test as to, okay, if fighter X is such a big favorite, what are the fans thinking? If it's a total, polar opposite, well, that's a talking point, and that's pretty interesting. Cory Sandhagen opened a sizable favorite, 3-1 favorite. He's now minus 433 average on best fight odds. Edgar opened plus 250, now at a plus 325. The Tapology odds, 83% Sandhagen, 48% by decision, 43% by knockout. The 17% that have Edgar to win, 75% by decision. Listen, the 43% of 83% that pick Sandhagen to win What are you talking about? Like, by submission? Frankie Edgar has spent 7 hours, 40 minutes, and 51 seconds in the UFC's octagon, and he's never been submitted one time. Why do you think Cory Sandhagen's the guy? You let me know in the comments section, because listen, it's entirely possible. You look at Cory Sandhagen's record.
Is it, though?
He finishes Austin Arnett in his debut, 2018. He finishes Yuri Alcantara, which... That was kind of a weird fight because
he takes damage.
Yuri Alcantara, later on in his career, he was a really good jiu-jitsu ace, but as he got later on in his career, he started to get finished. He submits Mario Bautista. That's a great win. Beats John Lineker by split decision. Takes some damage.
John Lineker almost submits him too, and I think that's something we should talk about.
It's a lot of damage, as Phil Swift would say. He beats Rafael Sunsao by decision. He gets taken down in that fight by Sunsao, but a Sunsao's power bar goes down. Not like Garbrandt goes down, but, he beats him. Loses to Sterling in the first minute and a half, and then he beats Marlon Moraes in one of the coolest knockouts I've seen in a while. And Marlon's, trademark of late is getting finished. So for Sandhagen, being that big of a favorite, you're right. I don't see it. I saw it over in the comments section, our YouTube community tab, because we normally post polls there. You can find polls on our Instagram too at Fight Night Picks. But in the YouTube community tab, a lot of people are saying, Frankie Edgar, maybe there's a good possibility with those plus odds. I wouldn't disagree. I'm probably going to stay away from this fight. But it is interesting to see such a huge shift for Cory Sandhagen where, Edgar, he's 2-3 in his last 5. But he hasn't totally fallen off a cliff.
Oh, no, not by any means. And that's kind of the fun thing about Frankie Edgar. Even in this later stage of his career, he's putting on extremely competitive fights with the best guys in the division. So I understand why people are confident with Sandhagen. Everyone remembers that highlight reel KO of Marlon, how he points out that he breaks his orbital with a question mark kick, and wheel kicks him Edson Barbosa style. When you look at the record of Cory Sandhagen, and I hate doing this to records, but it's kind of the truth, you could pick out... There's little caveats along with a lot of his wins. Like Marlon Moraes, well, he can't really take a shot. Cory Sandhagen knocks him out. You lose to Aljamain Sterling, and then you beat Rafael Sunsao, who it was not in his prime by any means at that stage in his career, but he still had a high ranking associated with his name. So that win gets your name up into the top of the rankings. And your other top win is a split decision over John Lineker, where at the time of watching it, I thought Lineker won. Upon further review, I do think Sandhagen won 2 of those rounds. But in the third round of that fight, it's just John Lineker hitting Cory Sandhagen in the head. Yep. And then he almost chokes him out like Damian Maia, Rick Story style, where a bunch of blood comes out of poor Cory Sandhagen's nose. It's not that I don't think Cory Sandhagen can win this fight, and I'm going to let you know this right now. If he knocks out Frankie Edgar, I'm on board. Like, this is it. You can't beat Frankie Edgar and not convince me you are a top-tier world-class fighter. I'm going to pick Frankie Edgar in this fight. I never thought I'd say that, but I do think the wrestling of Frankie Edgar is being overlooked. I think the grappling of Frankie Edgar is also being overlooked. On the feet, Cory Sandhagen will have success, but we've seen Cory Sandhagen struggle in moments against guys who can do what Frankie Edgar does. Can Frankie Edgar go out there and take down Cory Sandhagen? Without a doubt. And I think if he gets one takedown, and if Cory Sandhagen is a little complacent off his back, if he's a little too comfortable and, looking for scrambles when he shouldn't be, I think Frankie Edgar can really make him pay. So I'm not going to predict not a Yair Rodriguez style humbling, if you will, but I do think Frankie Edgar is going to be able to win this fight. And it's going to be one of them y'all must have forgot. Now, maybe I'm not as high as Cory Sandhagen as I should be. Please let me know if I'm being really dumb right now. But I'm going to pick Frankie Edgar, and I like him as an underdog. I'm probably not going to put any money on this for full transparency, but as an underdog pick, I do like Edgar.
This is a weird one because, again, I saw that in the community tab as well. The comparisons between Sandhagen and Rodriguez. Rodriguez... hardcore striker, 0 takedown defense.
He's not bad anymore.
Not a lot of grappling, credentials that way. And where is he now? But
lying about his whereabouts.
If I look at Cory Sandhagen, great jiu-jitsu. Really, really creative. One of the more creative guys that we see because his striking, when he's flowing, it's great. And it's really unorthodox. So it's hard to get a good read off of Cory Sandhagen. Unless you're a guy that moves forward in a straight line, which is weird because you'd think with a guy that's so dynamic, like we talked about that, Michael Chandler, Dan Hooker. How would Dan Hooker win? Elbows up the middle, knees up the middle, lots of straight shots up the middle. How would Cory Sandhagen win? Lots of stuff up the middle, with guys that move in straight lines, but guys that move in straight lines have a lot of success. It's an odd thing, and it happened to Hooker, and it can happen to Sandhagen. That's the other thing. Sandhagen off his back. I'm cool with it, but with Frankie Edgar,
no, you're not.
We talked about it with certain fighters. Like, we talked about it early on in this card, if you get the chance to watch it, or maybe you haven't. The fight that Dennis Bondar has against Ode Osbourne. I'm going to make a comparison here. with Dennis Bondar, if he takes Ode Osbourne down, he's going to be looking to control for position. He doesn't land a lot of strikes. We talked about it with Carlos Diego Ferreira. Frankie Edgar takes down Cory Sandhagen. He's going to look to try and end the fight. It's not like we're just hunting for position like Cody Stamann does.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to disagree with, and I got to put this in, Cory Sandhagen is not that good off of his back. He's okay at best, but Cory Sandhagen, him off his back's not a position I'm comfortable with him in, especially not against any of the elite at bantamweight. I agree, he's a good grappler, don't get me wrong, but him on his back, we saw Aljamain Sterling somewhat expose him. He will make mistakes on the ground, especially in the grappling against top-level grapplers. Frankie Edgar, I'll say even, like, Jose Aldo won't go there, but he would have the IQ to get into those positions. I agree with some of what you're saying about Cory Sandhagen, but I don't think he is a submission threat at all against the top tier of the bantamweight division.
Oh boy, I think a lot of people disagree.
That's fine.
But overall, making the pick and really getting to the point and the crux of it, I'm going to side with Frankie Edgar ever so slightly in this fight. Again, I like Sandhagen's striking. I like his jiu-jitsu. I like how creative he is. Frankie Edgar has that weird X factor, the fact that he had that fight against Pedro Munoz where obviously a lot of people counted him out. I'm one of those people that's included, full transparency. And listen, I don't think that he won that fight. I thought Munoz won 3 of the rounds. Edgar did, again, look good in the last 2. That's the thing. And he keeps his output there. In a 3-round fight, how's that going to translate? We talk about that with a lot of fighters, Jose Aldo included. I think it's going to work for Frankie Edgar here, oddly enough. And I think if he gets off to a fast pace and a quick pace, and he wears on Cory Sandhagen, there's a good opportunity to win. So, going against popular belief, going against the odds, and the picks on Tapology, we're both going with Frankie Edgar in this fight. Are we madmen? What are you thinking down below in the comments section? You let us know. And, you know, for better or for worse, hopefully the analysis suited you. Now, in our main event, we have a great fight coming up between Alistair Overeem and Alexander Volkov, Drago and the Demolition Man. So keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. As we always say,
let's get into it.